And at this time, I want to bring you our beloved brother, Brother Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I am a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I can never thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, the great Mahdi who traveled 9,000 miles to seek and to save that which was lost. And we can find no other people more fitting, the lost sheep, the lost coin, the prodigal son, the children of Israel, than the black man and the black woman of North America. We thank Allah for his demonstration of love in coming and raising up for us a divine leader, teacher, and guide, messenger, Messiah, now exalted Christ, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Without the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there is no Malcolm X. Without the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there is no Muhammad Ali. Without the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, there is no Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. And without the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I could not be representing a man, a star without equal, the last man standing in this day and time, a man who is fulfilling the scripture as Muhammad of Medina and Jesus of the Bible and Holy Quran. The man I speak of is my leader, teacher, and guide on the scene today, representing the exalted Christ who is in power. I'm speaking of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and in their names I greet you once again in greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Please give all who have given presentations before us a round of applause, please. Thank you. Well, our subject for today is He, Allah, makes all things new. So I'm not going to be long before you because I'm going to try to make myself new. We're going to get it across in an hour, inshallah, and then we're getting up out of here. Let's go to the slide, brother. There's nothing that I'm going to say that's going to come out of my mouth that is from me, except to bear witness to what Master Fard Muhammad taught the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. What you have to understand, brothers and sisters, whether you're new or this is your 1,000th time being with us, is that God has loved us so much, he visited us. He came among us. And he's not a spook and he's not a spirit, and we got to get out of that spooky thing about God. God is man and man is God. And sooner or later, you're going to look in the mirror and you're going to understand it. Don't wait and find out when the enemy finally tells you in the end, you know something? What Elijah Muhammad and them was telling you was the truth. God is a man. And what we've done is we proved it all along. Remember now, we're the white man. We were crawling around in the caves and hillsides of Europe a little less than 500 years ago. We believed the world was flat. Think about that. We thought that if we kept sailing east or west, we would fall off the end of the earth. Now we're people who have walked on the moon and sending contraptions out in space based upon the mathematics given to us by the original man. Think about that. A people who are crawling around on all fours, eating raw meat, didn't know how to use fire. Think about that. Didn't know how to bury their dead. Didn't know how to cook. Huh? The dog was a man's best friend because the dog helped guard the cave they were living in and helped them hunt. I'm talking about these people that if you saw them in the time that we sent Moses to clean them up, you wouldn't want anything to do with them. And now, black man, you running after Susie. Now, well, I won't say black woman's running after Adam, but I seen you with him too. But if you'd have saw him about 2,000 years ago or a little long 4,000 years ago, you would say, ooh, wait. This Neanderthal man, this Cro-Magnon man, this cave dweller. I don't want nothing to do with him, boy. Ooh, oh, my God. You never seen a movie talking about cavemen and seen any black cavemen, have you? Geico commercial. He still wasn't a black caveman. If you only could realize that what we're going to tell you in these few moments is going to save your life. If I could only get across to you my sincere desire to see you in heaven at once. Not after you die, at once, now. This great one has come among us. He's predicted to come. The Son of Man was predicted to come. If he's the Son of Man, he's the Son of Man. Not son of spook, son of man. I know the scripture says that God is not a man that he would lie, but you have to understand that preposition, that. What kind of man? A man that would lie. God is not a man that qualifies it, would lie. But he is a man. Because the Lord is a man of war. Oh, y'all ain't hear me. And we would be seen in that day and time. Peter talks about that we would be like him. Well, how are we going to be like him? We're going to be spooks and spirits? Remember now, according to the judgment spoken of in the Bible, everybody's not dead. That's right. There's some living people. And if you're going to be translated or taken up in the rapture, people just disappear. Where did their bodies go? Since the scripture said flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven. Oh, got you thinking. Let's move. Next slide, please, brother. I'm going to go right at this thing. Now, I always teach from our lessons because what distinguishes us and what gives us insight into Bible and Holy Quran beyond what the East could teach you, beyond what the Pope of Rome can teach you, beyond whatever theological seminary can teach you, what Yeshiva University or Hebrew University could teach you, is the lessons given to us by Master Fard Muhammad. They are the keys that unlock all of the wisdom that this world would have. I thank God in heaven for not revealing this onto the wise and prudent men, but revealing it onto babes. And we are seen as babes in this world because we're people who don't feed, clothe, or shelter ourselves. We sit around here waiting for somebody else to give us a job, somebody else to educate our children, somebody else to give us health care, somebody else to give us everything. So we're seen as children. That's why we're called the children of Israel. We belong to Israel because they're the ones that feed, clothe, and shelter us, educate us, and give us everything. We sitting around waiting on them. All right, let me just go. Come on, brother. Come on. You're gonna. I don't know. That water might put out my fire. I'm gonna try to get this across in no time. The instructions that Master Fard Muhammad gave to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and through him to the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and to us, number 11 says this: brothers and sisters, you all get busy and help arise the dead nation and place them on top of civilization. Behold, he makes all things new. Place them on top of civilization. Now, look at our condition. Go out there in the hood. Look at all the statistics as it relates to black people, and you ask yourself the question, that sounds impossible. Huh? That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had the most difficult job that any man has ever had, because he has to take a people who are dead in all aspects of life that you consider life. We are dead. And the only value we have in this world is sport and play and song and dance, but they don't see us as a serious people. It is very difficult for people who have this preoccupation with owning private property to respect the people they once owned this property. It's in their DNA. They can't help it. This is why they hate Sylvester Turner, and this is why they hate Barack Obama. They can't see themselves following no black man nowhere. And they don't like it when black men outsmart them. They can't stand it. It makes them crazy. It makes them, as they say, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Brother and sister, you all get busy and help arise the dead nation and place them on top of civilization. My dearest superlative degree. There's dear, dearer, comparative, and dearest superlative degree. You can't get any higher than that. Dearester ain't a word. My dearest desire is to give everyone his or her own. What is it that you want, black man? What is it that you want, black woman? Deep down in your heart, that the world has told you you can't have it. You ain't good enough. You can't do it. You shouldn't do it. And your children are always, they're little gods. They come here little gods. They're like little scientists. They crawl around. They putting balls in their mouth. They reaching for things and all that. And you and I sometimes are so lazy, as Brother Abdul Malik said to us last week. He said, we're lazy parents. We tell them, no, don't do that. Come here. Because we sitting our fat behind in the chair. And our babies are scientists. They're like gods. They're trying to explore and experiment and find out, tasting and touching everything. No, don't do that. So what are we programming our children? No, you can't. No, you can't. Instead of watching them and guiding them, make sure they don't put the wrong thing in their mouth. They don't touch something that's hot or something that's too cold or something that's too sharp that might hurt them. But we should be allowing them to explore the universe that they were born to master. What is your own? No matter what our condition is, whether you got a PhD or no D's at all, whether you live in a mansion or you're living underneath a damn bridge, you're God. And even if we're living in a mansion and got PhDs, you still ain't even scratched the surface of what it is that God has in store for you and me, because this world's knowledge is limited. We only gave them one book of knowledge out of 60,000. They built this world off of one book of knowledge. But God desires to give you your own. I don't want importance among officials nor laborers. Do not do other than yourself. Do not take on mixed instructions other than our assignment. So, we can't be big eyes and little U's. I appreciate it, but the greatest title that I could have other than Muslim is brother. Does that make sense? Brother. They say, what should I call you? Should I call you doctor? Should I call you minister? Should I call you, I don't know. I said, call me brother. I'll simplify it, but call me brother. Because in the end, that's the minister said, that's the first thing we got to be. Let us first be brothers and sisters. Y'all okay? Now, we can't take on mixed instructions other than our assignment. So you have to ask the question, what is our assignment? Next, please. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was asked that question. And in Message to the Black Man, he gave an interview. It's found on page 306 of Message to the Black Man. If you don't have that book in your library, you're like Leon Spinks, man. Y'all don't know about Leon Spinks. Go back and YouTube is beautiful today. You can go on YouTube and you can look at Leon Spinks as he won the championship from Muhammad Ali. He beat Muhammad Ali. That's why Muhammad Ali is 3-time world champion, because he lost Leon Spinks. Then he came back and defeated Leon Spinks to get back his title. But Leon Spinks, when he took out his mouthpiece, he ain't had no front teeth. And not to have Message to the Black Man in your library is like having no front teeth. They asked him the question. This was National Education Television Network, station KQED, San Francisco, asked him the question. He said, my mission, they asked him, how would you describe your mission? He said, my mission is to give life to the dead. What I teach brings them out of death and into life. My mission as a messenger is to bring the truth to the world before the world is destroyed. There will be no other messenger. I am the last, and after me will come God himself. I do not say I will live so long as that, but when God comes, if it pleases him, I may be with him. However, if I'm not with him, this is the final. This truth I bring will give you knowledge of yourself and of God. Now, why do you have to have knowledge of self and the knowledge of God? The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan teaches us that the knowledge of self is akin to the knowledge of God. If you know yourself, you'll know God. Because if you know the Creator, you'll figure out the Creator. If you know the creation, you'll know the Creator. And if we are the original people of the earth, and we are, then you and I come directly from God, then who are you? You say, I'm Junebug Johnson. No, that's who he named you. That's what he made you. But who are you really? You're the first people from God, the first people under the sun, the first people to utter a word, the first people to create art and science and literature and anything you could name, the first builders. Hell, God of the universe, that's who you are. Yo. Yes, sir. I know. Listen, I know who y'all are. So I'm not going to talk to you crazy because I know who you are. Man, it scares me looking at you because I know who you are. And if you and I ever discover who we really are and begin exercising said power, it's over for the enemy. Y'all okay? Yes, sir. I know it's hard to believe, but don't negate what I'm saying by your own doubt and your own life circumstance. understand what it is that I'm helping you to aspire to is what God created you to be and who you were created to be, not what the world has made you or has told you could be. Y'all all right? Yes, okay, I'm trying to move as fast as I can. Now, let me go next. So now, we see that the job is to take you from where you are. Messenger Muhammad's job at that time was to take you from where you and I were to be standing upright before the world and to be an example. You and I are to be examples of what God can do for all of us if we would just but submit. Our religion is not really a religion, it's a way of life. It's very much our nature. You understand? Yes, sir. Huh? Set thy face for religion. Huh? Being upright. That is our nature, is to be upright. As a child, you notice you crawl and then you begin pulling up. Yes, to be upright. Abraham was upright. The nature in which Allah created us, and there's no altering Allah's creation. That's right. So if you and I were born, that's Holy Quran 30:30. If we were born to be upright, and that is our nature, then we're Muslim by nature. Yes, sir. Not naughty by nature, we're Muslim by nature. The world made us naughty. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. You black woman are the mother of civilization. That's right. Ain't no need of looking at Elizabeth Taylor's Cleopatra. You Cleopatra. Y'all ain't hearing me. Huh? You the lily of the valley. Huh? You the Nile River. Lord have mercy. Boy, if I could only convince you of who you are without you thinking I'm asking you for something. I'm not asking you for nothing but to believe that God loved you so much. You're the first women in 66 trillion years to know the person and reality of God. That's right. Think about that. He revealed it to you. That secret was kept among 12 men. Yes, sir. As to who God was for 66 trillion years, that was the hidden secret. Yes, you're the first women to know that in 66 trillion years outside of that circle of 12 and their mothers. That's right. Come on. That didn't register, but that's all right. Yes, keep it on your mind. Put that in your file cabinet. All right. Next, please. He, Allah, makes all things new. This great book, Our Savior has arrived. Woo, have mercy. Page 116. Quoting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Allah God will take living material, the so-called Negro, the black man, up from slavery of 400 years. Here in America is the people out of whom Allah God wants to build a new heaven and a new earth, or we say a new people and a new government. Out of us. Think about it. The whole world is laughing at us. I know y'all don't like my 1970s songs. I still love you anyway. But Teddy Pendergrass had a song that said the whole world's laughing at you. Look at me, silly fool. The whole world's laughing at you. Why? Because you blew such a good thing. Huh? Go look it up on YouTube. I know my music repertoire, I can't bring it up to date. I'm trying, y'all, but it is what it is. Sister Mavis says, he got a song for everything. It's true. But the whole world is laughing at you because God has come. And the wisdom that you need to come up overnight has been among you now for over 80 plus years. And they just look. And they said, look at them. God, you chose them. This is Satan. Satan's mind is, I am better. Right. The Quran says in his conversation with God, he said, when God ordered the angels to submit to the man that he created and fashioned out of black mud, all bow down. The angels bow down. Powerful men, not spooks, not spirits. Powerful men with extraordinary power were told to bow down to this man, and they all bowed except for one. And he asked them, what hindered you when I commanded you to bow down? He said, I am better. Him you made of dust, me you made of fire. That is at the root of our problem as black people, because envy is the number one problem among us. Envy, not seeing God in one another, is the problem. I am better. Well, I can preach better than him. I look better than her. I'm this, that, and the other. Yeah. All that's true. God gave you an ability, but guess what? He gave that same ability to your brother and your sister, just that you might have discovered your gift and they might have discovered their gift. Don't get them. Don't hate. Congratulate. Huh? All praise due to Allah. Okay. Now he's going to build a new heaven and a new earth, which means that now a new teaching has to come, a new spiritual guidance has to come that will change your earth or your life. This is the grave that our spirit is buried in. This is the grave. This comes out of the earth. It will go back to the earth. It will come out the earth again. This is, we have to eat food from the earth to sustain this earth. But if you and I submit to this, we are buried in this grave. If this controls you, huh? If our sexual organs control us, if our lying tongue controls us, if our wandering eyes control us, if our ears listen to gossip, slack talk, and slander control us, if our appetite to eat food and eat and smoke and drink control us, then you are buried in your grave. But if your spirit says, no, He, Allah, makes all things new by renewing my mind. Now the rest of me is going to follow. So during Ramadan, what do? No eating, no drinking, no relations with our partner during the daytime hours. Oh, but the golden time of day. Huh? When the sun goes down. Whew. Yeah. We got to eat, we got to drink, we got to get with our partner. Y'all all right? Ooh, have mercy. Because nighttime is the right time. But just that alone, and then making our prayers, and then reading 1/30 of the Holy Quran, our cells were being renewed. Our mind was being renewed. Our spirit was being renewed. And if you're the same old person at the beginning of Ramadan that you was at the end of Ramadan, Ramadan was a waste for you. It was a waste. There's something you should have realized about yourself. Whether you fasted 1 or 1,000 or the whole 30 days, there's something you should have realized about yourself. And when you looked in the mirror of self, you said, man, I'm gonna do this, that, and the other. So I'm making all things new. I'm trying to get you out of here in an hour or less. For real. I have to discipline myself to say what I want to say in the period of time so you can go ahead and do what you want to do. Because if I got to teach you all day long, not in this day and time, we don't have a lot of time. He makes all things new, brother and sister. Next slide, please. Because he's going to make a new heaven and a new earth. There's a new people that's coming up out of America that have been destroyed. And as this new teaching now comes down to these people, guess what? We're not the same people we used to be. Black people are coming up. So when they decide to cut the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan off of social media, and they made him more popular. Like we said, man, I may not be down with Farrakhan, but you know what I'm saying? Man, that was wrong, man. Because I can go on World Star Hip Hop, man, watch fights. I can see the Ku Klux Klan on there. I can see all kind of madness. People getting shot, beat down, people getting high, people cursing, people doing all that. And they're going to cut this man off from here? There's something ain't right about this thing. Well, then why, if Minister Farrakhan is irrelevant, as some would have you to believe, some of his so-called critics, Farrakhan ain't nothing, Nation of Islam ain't nothing. If we're not anything and Mr. Farrakhan is irrelevant, then why does the most powerful people on earth want him off of social media? And anything white folk tell you you can't have, you know doggone well we're going to do it. When Nancy Reagan said, just say no, you say yeah, just say yes. I don't give a damn what Nancy said. Huh? And when Sister C. Dolores Tucker and at that time Tipper Gore, who was Al Gore's wife, he was the vice president, and they were condemning rap music, he said, man, I'm going to listen to pop. I'm going to listen to pop. So I'm listening to Biggie. I don't give a damn what you say, because anything you tell me don't do, I'm going to do. So the reverse has happened. They try to cut the minister off, and guess what, brothers and sisters? You and I are rising up. This may mean that this debate indication we will beat prophecy. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. Okay, just work with me now. Million Man March, that's what you're looking at, Million Man March. Some of you weren't born at the time of Million Man March. You don't understand the Million Man March. But trust and believe, there were over 12 million households that would affect, black households that were affected. There was nearly 2 million black men there. But millions of people stayed home from work and school. Our sisters stayed home and prayed for us. Man, this thing had a ripple effect. You don't know, behind prison bars, the effect of the Million Man March had. We don't even understand the seeds have been planted. Now all we got to do is water it and watch the fruit come. You know something? The last thing that develops on the tree is the fruit. And what you're seeing right now is the fruit of Islam. And you the fruit, too, of Islam, sister. Y'all ain't hearing me. All right. Not just the men, the women, too. All right, because you give birth to the fruit of Islam. All right. Come on now. Let's go to the next slide. I'm making good time. Now, I'm going to go back to our assignment again. And I want to emphasize what I underlined before. There will be no other messenger. I am the last. After me will come God himself. Now, I want you, brothers and sisters, when you get your message, black man, go back and read that interview and see the question that follows after that. And why I have underlined on this particular slide, Message of the Black Man, published in 1965, is because you have to understand context. Are y'all all right? Yes, sir. The context of the publication of Message of the Black Man comes after Brother Minister Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam and was assassinated. And there was much confusion about what do the Muslims really teach. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took a compilation of just about many of his articles that he had written and put in the newspapers, such as the Amsterdam News, the Pittsburgh Courier, and other newspapers. That's where Mr. Muhammad Speaks was in there. Malcolm created an edition called Mr. Muhammad Speaks, a smaller edition, and the Muhammad Speaks newspaper was taken to Chicago. Here's the point I'm making. At that particular point, read the next question and answer. The next question and answer is about his son Wallace and Minister Malcolm defecting from him and the Nation of Islam. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, yeah, I knew that. I was told this was going to happen by my teacher. So understand that Messenger Muhammad is telling you, I'm the one. And after me ain't going to be no other. I don't want y'all to get confused looking at these so-called people who are going to succeed me. Understand the context in which he's speaking. And then I'm going to give it to you again. See, if Elijah Muhammad is dead, he can't change his mind. If Elijah Muhammad is dead, he can't change his mind. Y'all all right? Yes, sir. All right, let me show you. That's 1965, right? Next. Now, let me give you some Holy Quran. Holy Quran. Understand that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the modern-day Moses. Why do we say that? Because to be a prophet like unto Moses had to be conditioned that existed at the time of Moses. What? The children of Israel were in bondage. Is that right? Under a wicked king called Pharaoh. Pharaoh is a symbol. Them Jews ain't never been in bondage there. That ain't never happened. But it's a symbolic story about you and I. That's right. Ain't nobody fulfilled what's written in Genesis 15 and 13 but you and I. No, of a surety, Abram, thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and he shall serve them and afflict them 400 years. That's you and I. Not them. Them Jews that's over there in Israel, or I should say so-called Jews over in Israel, are not the children of Israel. They're converts. They're colonizers. They're usurpers. They're sitting, running around in your clothes. You run around butt naked And they ran your fine garments. We the chosen people of God. And if you speak against us, you're blaspheming God. That's a lie. Them is the synagogue of Satan. And y'all didn't bear witness on that. That's all right. I'm telling you who we are. We're not anti-Semitic. We're not racist. We're not haters of white people. Huh? Mississippi, Sister Betty, they call the white man a peckerwood. In Georgia, as Brother Abdul Malik Saeed told you, in Georgia they call him a cracker. In Texas, he's a redneck. But he's the devil. Is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, all of them, Jew and Gentile. Not that we call them names, but there's just a scientific designation of how they were brought into existence. Any live germ grafted from original is devil. Grapefruit is a lemon and an orange, it's devil. A mule is a horse and a donkey, it's devil. Y'all ain't, man. Now, in the Holy Quran, Moses is being put on his mission by God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad had a third grade education. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when you listen to him speak, he split verbs. He did this, that, and the other. But yet he had this internal charisma that attracted. He was the big man, not Malcolm. That's right. Understand, Malcolm didn't really get popular till the 80s. When they resurrected him to come against the minister. I lived in New York. I walked by the Audubon Ballroom all the time, going to PS 173 to play basketball or to go to Boy Scouts. Yes, I was a Boy Scout. Yeah, I was a Boy Scout. Troop 777. Troop 777, for real. I used to walk with a raincoat. Sometimes it'd be hot as it is now. I would walk with a long raincoat on because you didn't walk through Washington Heights going nowhere, a Boy Scout, and not get jumped. Y'all ain't hear me. But my point is, I used to walk past the Audubon Ballroom. And from the time Malcolm was assassinated in February of 1965, up until that point, the Audubon Ballroom was shuttered. It was no shrine. They didn't make it into a museum or anything. You got to understand that, brothers and sisters. The man was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and still is today. But Malcolm has his place. We cannot deny his 13 years of helping the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and even after he left the Nation of Islam, Malcolm is still bringing more people to Islam than some of us living. I say something wrong? I'm quoting the minister on that one. Now, but who is the prophet like unto Moses fulfilling Deuteronomy 18 and 18? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is. Because you and I are the people who are in bondage. And so God is putting Moses on his mission. But Moses, he don't feel like he's adequate. She says, and my brother Aaron, he is more eloquent in speech than I. So send him with me as a helper to confirm me. Surely I fear that they would reject me. He said, this is God, we will strengthen thy arm with thy brother, and we will give both an authority, so that they shall not reach you. With our signs, you too and those who follow you will triumph. Notice I put the emphasis, those who follow you will triumph. I'm pointing to you. I'm pointing at me. Those who follow you will triumph. Think about that. God ain't left you out. Ain't like, oh, we got two people we're going to look up to, and then we don't have no part in this thing. Woo. He makes all things new, y'all. All right, let's go. Next. Hit it again, brother. The Father and his Son. He comes out of the mind of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's an answer to his prayer. Next slide. In the greatest newspaper on earth, the Final Call newspaper, there's an article that appears called Farrakhan the Traveler, written by Brother Jabril Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan's companion. I'm quoting from an article that appeared was updated September 20th, 2016. It says, it was shortly after a very significant speech that Minister Farrakhan made in Atlanta, Georgia, in early fall 1970, that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for the third time, told the minister of his great value to him, and he also said, quote, as Allah made me to take his place among the people, I am making you to take my place, close quote. Well, wait a minute. In 1965, he said, after me, there's nobody. After me comes God himself. Next, I want you to take a look again. Whoop. The Father and his Son. All right, next. And the Holy Quran says in 7:142, and we appointed for Moses 30 nights. Now, I've inserted 1935 to 1965, which is 30 years. And at that time, see, you have to understand, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said of Malcolm, he said, Malcolm would not have been such a formidable enemy and opponent had I not taught him so much of the prophecy. What did Malcolm know? Why did he break when he broke? See, you got to understand that. Why did he break when he broke? What was 1965? What was it about 1965 that he knew something was going on? But the messenger, it says he appointed for Moses 30 nights and completed them with 10. So from 1965 to 75. So the appointed time of his Lord was complete 40 nights. 1935, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was alone on his mission, to 1975. And Moses said to his brother Aaron, take my place among my people and act well and follow not the way of the mischief makers. Now, next, we know what happened in 1975. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed, and his son stepped in, where everybody was looking for Mr. Farrakhan to fight for the position of leadership of the Nation of Islam. They knew Farrakhan. That's right. He was on the radio for years, filling up mosques, his broadcast as the national representative of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Everybody knew. And there are those who to this day don't forgive Minister Farrakhan for not stepping up, but had he stepped up, I'll show you the Quranic verse that shows you, brothers and sisters. But the Imam came, he took down our flag, he put up the American flag, he replaced our flag with the opening of the Quran, which we don't have. We don't go into the military. That's what made Muhammad Ali the greatest, because he didn't go in the military. He allowed them go into the military service and all of that. And so for us, the Nation of Islam, as we knew it, was no more. It was gone, fini, finished, over, and the world believed that it was over. Next. Moses said, O Aaron, upon his return from up the top of the mountain, he went to the mountain to get the new teaching from Jehovah. When he returned, he found the people worshiping the golden calf, right? So he left his brother Aaron in charge. And this is what he said to Aaron in the Quran, 20 and 92 through 94. O Aaron, what prevented thee when thou sawest them going astray, that thou didst not follow me? Hast thou then disobeyed my order? Aaron's response, O son of my mother, seize me not by my beard, nor by my head. Surely I was afraid lest thou shouldst say, thou hast caused division among the children of Israel and not waited for my word. Had Minister Farrakhan stood up at this time, he'd either be dead or there would have been bloodshed. Have you noticed that over in the so-called Muslim world, then we supposed to be following the real Muslims? That Shia and Sunni is slaughtering one another. There's one over here with an RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade, and another one with an AK-47 shooting at each other, both hollering Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. They're shooting at each other. Am I supposed to follow that? No. We follow the wisdom God has given the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, learning from what happened to Malcolm. Learning from what happened When Master Fard Muhammad left the nation, or left the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in charge, and those, even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's own brother and his assistant minister rose up against him and tried to take his life. We have all those lessons before us. Minister Farrakhan has guided us through all of this with these very strong differences that we had, but we ain't gave each other so much as a bloody nose. If he ain't Jesus, I don't know who is. If he's not the Prince of Peace, I don't know who is. Because we come from a brand, our religion is such that if you kill my dog, I'm gonna kill your cat. We're not the cheek turners here. If you shed blood, your blood gonna get shed. If you leave us alone, you'll get nothing but peace from us. You won't find nobody nicer than the Muslims, more courteous than the Muslims. But if you stir this beehive up, zzz, thou hast caused division among the children of Israel and not waited for my word. 1975 to 1977, Mr. Farrakhan stood up in 1977. Next slide, please. You see why? Why would we shed each other's blood when it is Elijah Muhammad who made all of them men? He made Muhammad Ali. He made Malcolm X. He made Imam Waruddin Muhammad. And he made Minister Farrakhan. To shed each other's blood when they're married, intermarried in their families? Mr. Farrakhan's children is married to the family bloodline of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Well, that'd be crazy to be killing each other. Though they do that over in the East. But that's not our way. Y'all hearing me, right? Huh? Y'all feel all right? Allahu Akbar. So, instead of him fighting his brother, he just went out and started teaching and raised back up the name of the father, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you're sitting in their mind right now. You're sitting in it right now because of Mr. Farrakhan's sacrifice. And because of that, we don't shed each other's blood. So at the end of Ramadan, we went to our Eid prayers and we had it over the masjid named after Imam Waruddin Muhammad. Now, there's some people that might frown upon that. I really don't care. Because the truth of the matter is, Allah orchestrated all of this. The nation couldn't have fell unless Allah wanted it to fall. Y'all ain't hearing me? It fell, brothers and sisters, because Allah ordained it to fall. And sent them off into the world to learn the Quran, to learn the ways of Islam, and come back only to realize that what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us was the truth anyway. Hear me? Wait. I want you to hear me. You should have heard the young imam give the khutbah at the Eid prayers. If he didn't read out of the Muhammad Economic Blueprint, I don't know what he preached out of. But his recitation of the Holy Quran was so beautiful. Oh, man, brothers and sisters. I was just so proud of him. I mean, tears were in my eyes that brother was just running down. Oh, man, he was reciting that Quran, man. I mean, like, I got Brooklyn Arabic, but that brother was running it down. And then he began teaching, and he began talking about, how Ramadan, at the end of Ramadan, the Eid is a renewal. It's a renewal now. We're like born again. It's like a funeral. You bury them. From the earth we come, to the earth we return, and from the earth we come again. We're like born again after Ramadan. But we can't be the same as we was before. Then he began teaching about we need to build community life. And he started talking about people from other communities come and open up stores in our community, and we sitting out in front of the store begging. I'm hearing my father come out of his mouth. No matter how much Quran you learn, how much Arabic you can recite, how well you are in the rituals, if you can't get behind the rituals and peel back the onion and understand that the core of a human being is for them to be productive and to reflect the God that we're worshiping, and that he has created the heavens and the earth so that you and I would be over it and it would be subservient to us. But here we are saying Allahu Akbar over here. They saying Allahu Akbar over there, and we ain't got a pot to and a window to throw it out of. So now we got to come back with the truth of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, get up and do for self. He said, it's more important that I teach you separation than to teach you prayer. Not that it's not important to pray, but you got to separate your thinking from ever depending on these people. We have to now build. Sister and brother, the way to defend Mr. Farrakhan is on social media. We got to do that. We got to go out in the community with the Final Call newspaper. You have to live the life that you've been taught, sister. You are the greatest example of reformation that there is, to see a black woman not running around half butt naked. Damn. To see you like that. They know that they didn't make you. Somebody interfered with them stripping your garments from you, having their way with you, going in and out of you, making these old funny looking babies. And now they look at you, they say, I didn't make that. I'm going to leave that alone. And they know. They pull on your headpiece, they know from this side it's a death sentence. And if they don't know it, they're going to find it out. You said, well, I thought this was religion. I thought y'all taught love. We do teach love. But love without duty to who gives birth to your and my children and grandchildren? Man, then what kind of men would we be if we didn't make an example out of one of them so they understand? If you mess with one of them, what them people going to do? They'll bail you out of jail to kill you. Man was arrested for assaulting black Muslim woman downtown. Oh, his bail was set at $30,000. That's $3,000 cash. Who are you bailing him out? You'll find out. And this ain't gangster talk. This is the talk of civilized men. This is the talk of people who guard their future. These are people who understand your value. And that's where we got to get, bro. We have to be men who are inspired and not sitting around waiting for somebody to give us orders. We have to be inspired in such a way that we begin to take the initiative. We become proactive. We see something that needs to get fixed, we fix it, brothers. I'm getting a little... God gave you and I skills and talents, and if we don't use it, we lose it. There's the law of use and misuse. There's a law of abuse. If we don't use our skills and talents, if we don't use them, we'll lose them. I think Allah put Imam Qasim in there. Qasim Ahmed, also known as Lieutenant Larry 3X out of Chicago, was part of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's honor guard. It's a strong helper of Imam Warathin Muhammad. And like many of them, condemned the minister and went back and forth. But in the end, he became our Arabic teacher. And he would come over here and teach us Arabic, and he would never speak against what he knew we believed. And then when he would get among us, man, he would start talking about the old days. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and we, gangs, and we didn't fear nothing, man, brother. We rolled up in them projects, and blah, blah, blah. He'd be telling all them stories. We said, okay, Brother Imam, can we get to the Arabic lesson now? May Allah forever be pleased with him. He passed during the month of Ramadan. They say that's a blessing when you go during the month of Ramadan. And so we thank Allah for his contribution to us and always being a link. And a link also is Brother Peter 3X, also known as Sterling Shabazz. He would always come sit in our meeting, go over there. And he lived for the day that what you see is the imam and the minister coming together. He worked for that day. And so that's why we never shed each other's blood. And you'll see us collaborating more and more and more because we have to learn that book, brothers and sisters, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you don't have a real Quran unless you have one in Arabic. That's your original tongue. And what will make thee comprehend what the uphill road is? It is to free a slave. I don't want you and I should not be a slave to anybody's interpretation of the book. You got to learn how to read the Arabic for yourself and pull out of it the trilateral roots of those words so you'll be able to look it up and you'll be able to determine for yourself how it strikes you. Not listen to what I tell you it means, or what Maulana Muhammad Ali tells you it means, or what Yusuf Ali tells you it means, or what Nuruddin tells you it means. You have the ability to translate it for yourself, given the supreme wisdom and the fact that you eat to live, and you are not living that beast life. Now you have a whole nother mindset that when you look at the book, you're going to see things different. Just like our children, when they read the problem book, they're going to be able to solve them problems like that. And you're going to say, oh, where'd you get that from, baby? No, mama, that ain't what it means. It means this. Don't you know what you're giving birth to? You're giving birth to gods. These children are not like us. And that's why we can't treat them like us. Huh? Oh. Next. Why is Minister Farrakhan more successful than any of the disciples of Honorable Elijah Muhammad? There are many of them out there that, oh, I'm following the teacher. I'm a true follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Farrakhan then deviated. It's because Farrakhan sees the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a certain way. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, brother, don't worry about your place in Scripture. Make my great commission known that I will represent you to the people. Huh? So, in that article again, Brother Jabril said, at some point in 1968, which was after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had told Minister Farrakhan that he had been waiting for him for 38 years, and that he was the answer to his prayer for a special helper. Minister Farrakhan, he wrote a letter to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The messenger told him that was the biggest letter he had ever written him. This letter and the circumstances leading to it and the events that grow from it mark it as the fulfillment of what is called in the Gospels, the Confession of Peter. Next, what is the Confession of Peter? Huh? What is the Confession of Peter? Look at that. Look at that. Why is that man? That man has the sun, moon, and stars on his head. Who is he? That crown on his head. Next. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he was asking his disciples, who do people say that the Son of Man is? And they said, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, but still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. He said unto them, but who do you say that I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus said unto him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not overpower it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then he warned his disciples that they should not tell no one that he was Christ. What did Mr. Farrakhan write down on Elijah Muhammad? He told him, brother, he said, dear apostle, either you are what I think you are, or I'm a hypocrite and I need you to save me. He said, I see you as being the Christ. See, Mr. Farrakhan is more successful than all of them that say, I'm the true follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he teaches him as Elijah Muhammad as being alive and being the Christ that fulfills that aspect of Jesus being in power right now. Take it or let it alone. I'm just laying it at your feet, brothers and sisters, hoping that you'll look down and understand that the whole time the enemy has been putting traps at your feet. I'm trying to light a lamp at your feet so you won't stumble. Who you are and whose you are. All right, here we go. Now, next. Now, he says, whatever you bind on earth shall have been bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall have been loosed in heaven. Mr. Farrakhan has told you, watch the weather. He told me and you, watch the weather. He said, if you don't believe that I'm backed by the two most powerful beings in the universe, watch the weather. See how God don't fight fair, y'all? He fights like that. The enemy got guns and rockets and bombs and planes and all that. Our God uses the forces of nature to bring him to his knees. That's what God fights with, the forces of nature. Y'all don't believe that? Mr. Farrakhan is about to travel out the country. YouTubers plotting to take certain videos off of YouTube now. They're following the lead. And then you see coming out of a news release coming from the Anti-Defamation League saying that YouTube, yeah, that's good that you're doing it. There's still much more to do. They know what they're saying. Get rid of Farrakhan. Get him off of YouTube, man. This cat is exposing us. You know that the U.S. government was sending messages to the Saudi Arabian government. Louis Farrakhan is coming over there. Y'all need to take care of him. Don't receive him. But King Fahad wasn't listening to that. His delegation was received, all 17 of them, and were treated and accorded the most wonderful hospitality that you could find during those last 10 days of Ramadan, where the minister and his delegation made Umrah, which is the smaller pilgrimage. But if you make it during the last 10 days of Ramadan, it's like the major Hajj. Our brother Fareed Muhammad has gone over there. Our first convert has gone over there, and he has forged the way for others. And he's seen it. He said, brother, mister, I can't explain it to you, the beauty and magnificence. Sister Lorraine has went over there, over Umrah. And they ran into each other. Millions of people over there, and they run into each other. How you do that? Allahu Akbar. Whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Farrakhan is connected. So they plotting on him, right? So what does God say? I'm going to send you a message, America. Let me show you. Touch not my anointed. Do him no harm. And I'm going to send 500 tornadoes in 30 days. 500 tornadoes in 30 days. I'm going to say it again. 500 tornadoes in 30 days. No, he can't keep up with that, brother. Disasters and calamities are going to keep hitting America. And the more they plot against us, the more God is going to defend us. And you need to know this, brother and sister. You got 3 back in you. You got 3 back in you. If Hurricane Harvey wasn't enough for you, God gonna show you some more. It's been mighty hot for it being June, hasn't it? It's getting ready to get hotter. There ain't but two seasons in Houston. Summer and August. All right, let me go back. Next slide, and we're gonna close. Next slide. Again, what is our assignment? Our assignment is to give life to the dead. On yesterday, Sister Aisha, Sister Maddie, Sister Aisha, I don't know, I call her whatever name she wants to call her, my sister. And the Victory Wellness and Nutrition Program, or the Hunger Program, served another 317 meals. The total year to date is about 3,460 meals that they have served, or 6 meals that they have served this fiscal year. Y'all ain't heard that. We feeding the hungry. We're doing the work. The 10,000 fearless first responders were at the George R. Brown yesterday at the Extreme Weather Expo. And they saw our team of emergency management team, response team down there, suited and booted, had their booth, making connections. People want us to come out and train their people. Man, y'all don't know, sister and brother, we doing stuff. On next Sunday, 4 to 6 p.m., they usually have it at the end of the month. I'm telling my team now, Artists Respecting Community will have their meeting here, 4 to 6. And that's the plan for the next Saturday. This is this Sunday, next Sunday. But the next Saturday, where they're going to have closing, bridging the gap between the young rappers and the older rappers. We can't let Willie Lynch divide us. At the root of it is envy, brothers and sisters. And then next Sunday, in the evening, our brother Derek Muhammad, the activist, will be having a day of encouragement for fathers during Father Day. You know, a black man gets it the hard way, sister. You get flowers, you get all kind of stuff, man. We get drills and ties and no respect, like Rodney Dangerfield said. Man, somebody wouldn't think the black man gets any love. We need some love. We need some encouragement from you, sisters and brothers, and from each other. So there's a lot going on. We're sitting around here like ain't nothing happening. There's a lot going on. You just got to get involved. All right, let me say this. There will be no other messenger. I am the last. After me will come God himself. All right, next. Tweet from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as we close. Nothing that comes at me is greater than the faith that I have in God, who can deliver me from everything that is planned against me. Woo. Think over that. So if we put our faith in God, no matter what problem you and I have, our God is bigger than that problem. Let's get with that. Next, come on, quickly. And what did Farrakhan say during Savior's Day? He said, I'm a young God growing up in the classroom of God. And guess what? You are too. Don't get spooky. That's what the scriptures say. Ye are all God's children of the Most High God, but you'll die like men. Because we won't believe that we're gods. So we're going to live this life like a chicken plucking on the ground when we should be eagles soaring above it all. Lord have mercy. Next. Again. So send him with me as a helper to confirm me. With our signs, you too and those who follow you will triumph. Next. Mr. Farrakhan says in another tweet, the greatest strength of any human being is in our righteousness. Commit yourself to live a better and more righteous life. Commit yourself to that and watch, brothers and sisters. It's not like magic, but you'll see over time, you'll begin to evolve higher and higher and higher. No matter what condition you're in right now, go on and get righteous, man. Go and get right with God and watch what happens. Next. So, this is your destiny. To bring in a whole new world. You are the material that's going to bring in a whole new world. They ain't never seen nothing like this. So when they see our babies, they watch us over the internet. They see the pictures. We're not hiding anything. This is no clandestine, secret overthrow of the government. We're saying openly, God's the one overthrowing your government. He gave you Donald Trump. Yeah. And I suspect God's going to allow him to be reelected. So like Nero, he'd be fiddling while Rome is burning. But they never seen anything like these boys and girls and men and women that's coming up here. That's right. What is this? We didn't make this. They said of Minister Farrakhan, and this is like really my close. They said Minister Farrakhan, actually in 1984, one white man reporter said to one of the brothers after the Savior's Day, he said, he had over 13,000 people there to hear him. They said to themselves, this is back in 1984, how did we let this man come up and get this kind of power? And we didn't know anything about him. Like, as if they have power to make you or break you. That's why you need to be careful when these enemies raise our people up. They give you Jay-Z, first hip-hop rapper millionaire, and then they'll set Dre off, but Dre has something different. See, envy, playing off one against another, right? Then Rihanna, the richest singer among us, and then they'll throw, but Beyonce. So now the Beehive, so they trying to say, see, they playing these games. Cardi B against Nicki Minaj. This is the enemy. Whenever there is conflict, look for the third party. So now an article comes out. There ain't been a killing up down Scott Street for a minute. Now their article comes out in the Chronicle about the killings up and down Scott Street. But what are they doing? That's who's behind it all. And watch this mayor's race. This is going to be the craziest thing you ever seen. You know what our agenda is? See, we got an agenda. Our agenda is not going to change because this is our Constitution. This is our Constitution. This is the black agenda. This is what it's about, brothers and sisters. And if they're not talking about this, huh? In any kind of language, ordinances, statutes, or laws, then we're always going to be divided and played off one against another out of envy and ego. So we will be laying it out. But this is what God wants for us, our own schools, our own hospitals, huh? Our own food, clothing, shelter, our own services to take care of one another. That's what God wants for us. So let me end with a prayer, if you will, from Minister Farrakhan, where he says, may God grant you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and power that we may put Satan to perpetual flight and make a better world for us all to live together in peace. Amen. That's a prayer. But you got to have knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You and I can't take on Satan unless we got a superior knowledge. He'll never teach you to defeat him and rule him. But what you getting here at Muhammad Mosque, what you getting from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what you getting from the Nation of Islam will empower you to overcome the devil and Satan of self, and then that one outside of you ain't nothing. So let's go to work, brothers and sisters. Next and final slide, or next to final slide, is accept your own and be yourself. Sit yourself in heaven at once and unite with us here at Mosque 45. And come on, brothers and sisters, let's get up and let's go to work, because Allah is making all things new. Right now, as you've been under our voice, you're being made new. Your mind is now being touched by the light of truth that has hit you right at the core of your being, and now you're beginning to rotate into a whole nother orbit. And I want to put you in orbit around the sun, the S-U-N and S-O-N of God, so that you may now be in perfect order as you move to meet your destiny, which is to be God. Because he makes all things new, and it can't be anything newer than God himself, because he renews himself in every generation, and he's going to renew himself from you and through you. Thank you for listening. May Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.